Hey everyone, what's up? It's Brian here. I hope you are all doing well. And today I wanted to take the time to talk about some more soft skills in the tech industry and focus on a bit more psychological topics. These psychological mindsets that I want to talk about in the next few videos will heavily affect our ability to learn, grow as people, and perform well in the industry. So I realized that it would be a great time to first cover these before we dive more into programming and software architecture and kind of the more technical aspects. I'm also a little bit burnt out from purely programming just because of my day job. I've been super busy in this past month. So it would be a nice change for the both of us to reflect, get in a good mindset, and grow our mental models before we dive back into jamming code into our heads. Now, this video and the next few videos will be a bit more almost like a podcast type, so if you don't feel like watching me actually talk, feel free to just turn it off, listen to the thoughts that I'm about to give, some of the advice, and process it in a healthy way in your mind. So I wanted to start by talking about imposter syndrome in this video. I'm going to give a brief abstract on what imposter syndrome is. I feel like it's a heavily misdefined topic, and it's something that a lot of people have heard of before, but when I was teaching at Berkeley, I was teaching pedagogy classes, and a lot of people had actually very misdefined and misconstrued understandings of what imposter syndrome is and how it affects us on our day-to-day, on our learning, and us as students, as people trying to grow ourselves. So I'd like to talk about that first. To establish that we're on the same page about imposter syndrome and what it may feel like, I'm going to start with some scenarios that you may resonate with. The first scenario is you just started a new calculus class and you think, oh god, I don't know anything. I think I need to retake algebra, I'm nowhere near as good as math as the teacher thinks, and I'm going to be a fraud and I'm going to fail. Scenario number 2 is you just got a new job or you enrolled in a new college or in some way you worked your way up the ladder and you think, I don't deserve this. I somehow cheated my way in, there's no way that I should be here. I mean, I didn't cheat, but there's no other reason why I'm actually here, and I'm going to be found out that I know nothing and something bad is going to happen. Now, scenario 3 is a bit more interesting of a last case. It's for people who are aware of imposter syndrome already and do have somewhat of a correct definition of it, but they haven't been taught it in a way that they can think positively, think helpfully, and consciously process it. So these people enter a situation and they think to themselves, I'm such a fraud, this isn't even imposter syndrome, I just actually don't know anything. I'm going to be found out, I'm going to be fired, expelled, or shamed, and oh god, what do I do? More often than not, this is actually a really deeply inset case of imposter syndrome, and these people actually are still suffering from imposter syndrome. They have subconsciously basically flipped a bit in their head on this mental phenomenon, and they really need to focus on acknowledging that it's snake oil in their mind and that their mind is playing games on them. And in general, if you have been hired for some position or if you have been accepted to some college, you are there for a reason. It's not fake. So now I would like to take the time to talk about how we develop imposter syndrome and often how it occurs in high achieving people, especially people interested in computer science. I'm going to preface this though by saying that imposter syndrome affects all walks of life. I was an instructor at Berkeley. I saw many different people's backgrounds, races, genders, socioeconomic factors, language differences, knowledge levels. And relative to computer science, there were people that were basically coding since they were in middle school, since they were a young age, versus some people that just started a year before. But imposter syndrome has affected everyone, and it's not something that you necessarily just have or not. It can pop in and out of your life, even if you've been fine before. Some people have it their entire 30 to 40 year career, and this is a really interesting case because I've talked to people who have gone through this, and they only realize that after that they've retired, basically. They breathe out a massive sigh of relief, and they realize that their fraudulentness won't ever be found out, and only in this downtime after they retire do they actually realize and reflect, oh, I just finished an entire career in computer science. I'm not actually a fraud, and I do have the skills. And a lot of these people that I've talked to are what inspired me to make this video, because this is something that you want to identify within yourself and reflect and consciously attack before you let it go through with you your entire career and potentially inhibit your potential as a developer or leader or a software engineer. So onto a bit of the psychology of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a form of anxiety, and as many mental illnesses boil down to, they're either forms of anxiety or depression. Imposter syndrome is a more mild one and something that is slowly developed and much more subconscious, but they are still forms of chemical imbalances in your brain, and like all forms of anxiety, imposter syndrome is one that needs to be tackled with cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, I would like to make a little acknowledgement that if you have actually cheated your way through school or your job and are somehow a software engineer and you have been handed code, you have done this your entirety of getting into your career, this probably doesn't actually apply to you then. This doesn't mean, someone who once peaked on the test and now thinks that they are, total fraud and a fake and don't know anything. But if you are actually a pattern cheater and liar and you are somehow a software engineer that actually knows nothing, this video probably doesn't apply to you. But for 99% of us watching this, especially the people that are taking this time to actually reflect and think and attack their imposter syndrome, if you think you have it, then this video is for you, and you indeed probably have imposter syndrome. So as to why consciously acknowledging imposter syndrome matters so much is from the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy, as I mentioned before, we need to consciously acknowledge that we have imposter syndrome, or really any other distorted mental state for that matter. So when talking through it out, it's me explaining this to you. You should try to follow along, talk to yourself, reassure yourself. And this is a form of psychotherapy in which we are basically trying to talk it out in this virtual form at least. And I lightly studied this in college, and I am by no means a therapist, but I think that this is still something that is maybe new to a lot of people in software engineering, and something that when I have mentored people one-on-one or talked to them after class after I taught this topic at Berkeley, a lot of people had some form of a little bit of an enlightenment or curiosity about this, realizing that, wait, this does resonate with me in some way. So for the rest of this video, the work is going to have to happen within you. You are going to have to think about it, talk to yourself about it, and reassure yourself and reaffirm the positive values going on in your head. And you are now facing this problem, which is imposter syndrome, and you are going to tackle it head on and squash it rather than running away from it, saying that maybe it doesn't matter, it's not important, or suppressing it and making it this ever-growing anxiety within you. The point of this video is to reassure you about your value and your skills as a software engineer or someone in tech or someone in general, and to squash this imposter syndrome anxiety. So with that, let's dive into how you can overcome it in school, your career, or maybe even more just general in life. So first off, acknowledge where you are in life. Most of us are just starting our careers, pivoting to a new career, or looking to improve ourselves, especially if you're watching this given the content of my channel. We are not the world's leading experts in anything, machine learning, whatever. We are simply scholars in it at this time, and you are passing through this channel to learn more about something about code, yourself, soft skills, or something in tech. So there's simply no reason for us to have such a high ego or expectation, such that we expect ourselves to be the master in this. If you are now the CTO of a startup and you simply have no clue as to what you're doing, maybe you might want to reevaluate your path and hit the books a little bit harder before you launch a company if you're here. But if you are an entry-level engineer or simply a student, these expectations do not exist from any other people. You are setting the expectations in your head, and they are entirely in your own mind. So first, you need to accept that you are the driving force behind your success. At the end of the day, the reason why you are here, the reason why that you can even read code without seeing it as pure gibberish, the reason why that you maybe watched and followed my Python tutorial is because you wanted to, and you took the time and energy and effort and dedication to do so. So you are the sole person providing value in your own life right now, and in turn, you are becoming a more valuable person, which translates to you becoming valuable to your company, research lab, whatever other endeavor you are striving towards. Another thing to realize to combat imposter syndrome is to stop comparing yourself. Now, this is not something where about, Now, another thing you have to realize to combat imposter syndrome is to stop comparing yourself. Now, I'm not talking about growth mindsets or other more debated things. Instead, I'm just saying that we need to realize that life has so many variables out of our control and past decisions that in the moment when we made that choice, it felt like it was the right decision for you as a person. So you need to let these things go and focus on comparing how you as a person are existing right now and how we are So you need to focus on letting these things go and focus on comparing how you as a person existing right now is iteratively improving towards yourself from a past age. You may have made decisions that made yourself not the best computer scientist, or you may not have even studied computer science, but the fact that you're here now is an iterative improvement upon who you were before. We all have role models, and I personally like Elon Musk as an example, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to compare myself to a billionaire with far more experience, or even compare myself to him when he was my age. There's simply no point, and there's no race against other people, and that's something that people really get caught up with, especially in technology, and why this syndrome is so relevant to people in tech. The way that we compare ourselves in this industry makes it feel like a race, especially an age race, and there is simply no such race. You are in it to iteratively improve yourself to a pace that you're happy with, and that's what matters. Another thing to accept is that even if you screw up, or you're wrong, or you accidentally take down a production database in Canada, it doesn't mean that you're a fraud, or that you don't deserve to be there, or it doesn't mean that you'll even immediately be fired. The company is not just paying for you to be there and generate revenue for them. A lot of software companies, a little more uniquely than other fields, are paying for you as an investment. They're investing in you, your future, and the potential that you may bring the company. Now, if you're in college, this is a little bit different. You are paying them for the chance to invest in yourself through their classes and professors. So even more so, you want to realize that you're in a position where the only thing that matters is if you feel like you're learning, or you're learning from your mistakes, and that you're paying them. They're not paying you, so you're not even damaging any product or business. Another scenario of imposter syndrome is sometimes people feel like they're a different person to coworkers rather than to their parents, to their spouse, or to their friends. And this is not imposter syndrome. This doesn't mean that you're a fraud, or you're lying, or you're an authentic chameleon. This just means that you are adjusting to your surroundings as a normal person, and you're acting appropriately. You're not a fraud, and you have a personality, and you have skills to bring. In fact, you probably have quite a strong sense of awareness if you are even considering this right now. So this aspect of imposter syndrome, in which you feel like your personality changes, makes you a fraud at work or at school or when networking or interviewing, this is also still imposter syndrome, and this is something that's harder to tackle. Now, also recall, especially in technology, software engineering, credentials, meaning PhDs, college diplomas, if you're a millionaire's kid, whatever else, that doesn't really mean much in this field. This is a new money industry, it's not oil or politics, and that should be the last thing on your mind, especially as you're interviewing or, transitioning into work. As you consider the value in your field, the value is what you bring. The value is not what your credentials are or what piece of paper you have. And sometimes, especially something that I've noticed, is even the PhDs or industry experts are literally just practicing fake it till you make it. They actually know sometimes less than you and I may know in certain topics, but they have that credential backing them, and they have this fake it till you make it attitude. So that's why you should always try to listen to a broad array of people, take everything with a grain of salt, and not place too much value in one person just because of some little fancy title they have. So again, to basically summarize, you need to reassure yourself that you are here for a reason. You are constantly changing, you are constantly iterating as a person, and you are hopefully iterating towards the right direction that makes you feel happy and confident in who you are as a software engineer, as a person in tech, as a person in general. Speaking of in general, imposter syndrome affects relationships and beyond. If you feel like you have imposter syndrome as a student or in tech or in software, you probably have it spanning beyond that into the rest of your life. So now onto this tangent. Friendships, relationships, and more personal things, whether you like it or not, these are a big influence on you and your career. I have personally gone through many iterations and phases of sadly having to cut people out, explore my circle of friends, and evaluate who I am surrounding myself with, because these people may be holding you back, they may be instilling these bad anxieties like imposter syndrome in your head, and oftentimes when someone with imposter syndrome then has to push themselves out of these circles and find themselves in some new club or social circle with people that they view as more successful, people that they want to strive to be more like, whether that is looks or jobs or income title or whatever else that you're joining, they sometimes feel like they're an imposter too there, and that makes it especially hard to advance yourself in life. You may feel like a spy, secret agent, or there's some more underlying evil reason as to why you are currently in your place. And this is generally never the case, but it does lead to some nasty scenarios where anxiety gets the better of people, especially imposter syndrome, and you assume the worst of other people as a way of taking out that stress in your life. You may assume the worst of others, project your insecurities onto these newfound friends, partners, or colleagues, and you really have to remind yourself that you are here for a reason. The world's not actually that evil, and if you enjoy being in some friendship or relationship and you find it healthy, stop comparing, stop worrying, stop doubting yourself, and start reassuring yourself of what others see in you, whether that is colleagues, friendships, or relationships. You will be fine, and these people see the positivity and the value of investing their time into you. So as long as you don't project your anxieties into them via imposter syndrome or other forms of anxiety, then you will be fine. This may feel more relevant to relationships where sometimes people feel like there's a mismatch between partners, whether it's intellect or money or something else, but nevertheless, it's a very real and common phenomenon, and this is also still in the realm of imposter syndrome. So with all this said, I hope that this is a valuable foundation for where you should reflect upon your learning and journey in computer science, tech, whatever other field, or your personal life if you happen to stumble upon this video. So in summary, remember to focus on iterative, day-by-day improvement to combat imposter syndrome and anxiety in general, and forgive yourself for your past mistakes, and highlight your accomplishments throughout this journey, and really understand the positivity and the value of why you are here currently. So in conclusion, with all this said, I hope that there is some value here for you to reflect upon and to help establish a foundation in understanding your anxiety and thoughts in this journey and learning in computer science, tech, or whether it's just something in life. So if you happen to stumble upon this video, remember to focus on your iterative, day-by-day improvement against your past self, forgive yourself for your past mistakes, and highlight your accomplishments in this learning journey. Before I totally end this video, I wanted to take a quick moment to talk about something a little bit different in the realm of computer science and your journey into it. So quite a number of my viewers and demographics are Americans looking to get into computer science or looking to switch their careers to get into software engineering. And I've been asked a lot about one-on-one advice, tutoring, career advice, and the like. I currently professionally mentor some students as one part of my day-to-day job, and in the past I was the head TA and instructor of the UC Berkeley course on teaching and pedagogy, learning models, the like. And I've also been an engineering lead for about 150 engineers, interviewed with FAANG companies, wrote code that was absorbed by Apple, and in general, I think I'm at a place where I am happy with my stability at my current job, and I've chosen one that allows me enough free time and flexibility to make videos like this for you all. So I would like to spin down a little bit of my real-life mentoring and switch to working on providing a service to this platform and to more people like you, the viewer. So I'm playing around with this concept of mentoring online through basically being your tech coach and career coach through a monthly service. So this is an idea that I'm still playing with and working out the numbers and concept, but basically I will provide monthly check-ins for you, reflections, advice, guidance, check-in calls, and I will do mock whiteboard and code interviews with you to help you feel more solid in where you are in your journey in getting a career in CS. And I will help you identify your weaknesses, work on them, and talk about more things kind of like this video. So there's quite a number of business models like this. And the scary part is most of them lock you in after a while and take you a percentage of your income once you do get a job. And I don't want that. I don't think that's a good business model nor healthy for us. So I would just basically do a set monthly subscription service with some realistic kind of human rate for both of our time. And I would want to work with you long-term to develop a career. So this is something that I'm still entertaining, but if you are interested in it, drop a comment. Currently I only have Patreon for debugging support. But yeah, let me know if you're interested in it. Other than that, thanks for watching the video. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and see you soon with part 2 of this psychology series in tech. All right, peace.